And welcome everybody to the 39th edition of the Deserve to Win podcast. It's our annual Christmas party holiday retreat episode. Yay, we all love this. We are together as a team. You're gonna meet everybody, literally. They're all standing here off camera. The entire Troutman Amin team has gathered together for our annual retreat. For those of you that don't kind of know how we do this, once a year we get together in a different location. This year we're gonna be in Scottsdale, Arizona, ahead of our holiday party, which is tonight. I know everyone's really looking forward to tonight. And we get together as a team, and yes, we have branded black silk pajamas this year, along with Santa hats, and we try to build cohesiveness, and we try to build an identity, a brand, and really a sense of togetherness. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a little uneasy about this podcast. I'm just gonna be very, very straight with you, because thematically, this is about joy, it's about the holiday season, it's about togetherness, it's about love, it's about celebrating. We love to celebrate at the end of every year. Unfortunately, or fortunately, just the way the timing worked out, we also have Jay Edelson as our guest on this podcast. And for those of you that are tuning in to watch the Jay Edelson portion, it's gonna seem very jarring, because here we are goofing off, looking like a bunch of kind of goofballs, right, wearing Santa hats, you know, celebrating and having a nice time. And we're gonna talk to Jay Edelson, and Jay Edelson's gonna be telling us about some really, really tough cases. He's got 2 lawsuits he's bringing against OpenAI, because frankly, people are dead because of technology, potentially, and it's going to be a very jarring juxtaposition for everybody, and frankly, I don't love it. Part of me kind of thought about scrapping the whole thing, but I'm going to see it through, because I think both pieces of this deserve to be honored. What we do at Troutman Amin and our culture and our celebration and our joy, that deserves to be honored, and I don't want to see it scrapped. And the truth and the ruggedness and the rawness that you're going to see from Jay Edelson, that deserves to be honored as well. So you're gonna get both. They're gonna be in a package. They're gonna be juxtaposed in a way that doesn't really fit together. I'm gonna be honest with you, but just know that it's coming. I love you guys. You're gonna enjoy this interview very much. Get ready for it. But before we get there, let's find out who we have and what our wishes are for 2026. We're gonna start with Tamanna.
Hi everyone, I'm Tamanna. I'm an attorney here at Troutman Amin. Super excited to be here. It's been a great couple of days, and I'm excited for the big party tonight.
Hi everyone, Blake Landis, an attorney here at Troutman Amin, and what a holiday retreat this has been so far. Can't wait for the holiday event party tonight, and 2026 is right around the corner. It's going to be the best year yet.
What have you liked so far best about the retreat?
Oh, I would have to say the team bonding and the presentations, learning more and one-on-one time.
You guys know who I am. I'm the Countess. I'm Jennifer Cabrera. I am the attorney in our Florida office in Boca Raton, and I'm so happy to be here for our holiday edition. I always look forward to this podcast. Have happy holidays and a healthy and happy new year. I'm so grateful to be part of this team, and I hope you guys get to share a little bit of that just by watching us interact and how we use this retreat to get connected, and from our Irvine office and Florida office to just be one team with one vision to just go out there and win.
Yeah, Jen, you were amazing. Speaking of going out there and winning, you gave a great presentation right before we went on this podcast. Just absolutely profound stuff. But who do I have to my left?
Hi guys, my name is Brittany. I'm a partner at Troutman Amin, also known as the Baroness of TCPA World. Look, I love the holiday season because it really brings us all together. As Jen said, you know, we have our Florida office, and we even have an attorney in New York. So it's difficult for us to really bond and connect. And I love all the games we've been playing the past few retreats. You've really gotten to learn something new about each person, so that's great.
Yeah, what was your favorite part so far? What do you think?
Ooh, that's tough. I really enjoyed the escape room. I mean, although me and Pooja didn't actually get to participate, but it really was fascinating to watch the other teams and how they worked together, who was kind of taking lead, who was following, so I just loved watching the dynamics there.
Interesting, okay, very cool. And who do I have to my right?
Hi guys, Queenie here, Pooja Amin, partner at Troutman Amin. Happy to be here. We're having a great time, wonderful time here. That's all I have.
That's all you have?
Yep.
How about Happy New Year? Anything like that? No?
Happy holidays and
All right.
Happy New Year.
Rock and roll. What did you like about the retreat? You having fun?
I'm having a great time.
I mean, you're throwing it with me.
Yeah,
So,
I'm having a great
what do you think about the growth of our firm? Isn't this incredible?
It's fantastic. You didn't ask me what my favorite part was yet.
Okay, what's your favorite part?
So my favorite part, it was something different yesterday, obviously. Today, my favorite part has honestly been 2 of my core members' presentations, Angelica and Jennifer's presentations, just to see them lead and the growth they've shown. I mean, I was impressed, and it is really cool and neat to see the folks that helped us start this firm continue to grow and continue to impress me.
Well, it's amazing because when people start off at this law firm, right, you start off, what is it, a wad of cookie dough, right? This is a quote from Fight Club, right? You start off a raw, just some cookie dough, and by the end, man, you're carved out of wood, right? I mean, that's how it is at Troutman Amin. And we get together every year, we have presentations, and to watch like the younger lawyers, some of the law clerks and the staff, the newer people give presentations, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'd shoot them up. I was like, what are you doing? Eric Troutman asked you to do something, you're gonna get up and that's what you're gonna do? Get out of here. And then you see, right, as you work your way up to the folks that have been here for 3 years now, and their level of ability, how they can deliver, the execution that you see, right, and the way they carry themselves, man, these are leaders. These are powerful people, not just in the law firm, not just in the law, now in life, right? And I'm not gonna say that it all had everything to do with me, but it had everything to do with me. It's a ton of fun. Like, I love developing people. I love seeing them develop. And you're right, Pooja. Watching how folks have developed, it is absolutely the most rewarding thing, and I love it. And I look forward to the younger people developing over the years, and we can look back, and I can think of a couple of people 4 or 5 years from now, they're going to look back and they're going to be like, oh my God, you guys, when I first saw my first time, here's what happened to me. So I love it. But you know what? I think we've had such a great time together that it would be wrong to not let our viewers right, meet all of the folks on our team. So what do you think? Pooja, does that sound like a pretty good idea?
Bring them out.
Let's bring them out.
One by one.
First up, this is a name that you all know. Let's have her say hi.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays, to whatever you celebrate. My name is Tori Guidry. I'm the Dana TCPA World and attorney at Troutman & Mean, and can't wait to see all of you next year and hopefully celebrate with some of you tonight.
Look at that red hair.
Looking great. All right, and who do we have next?
Hi, I'm Angelica Munger. I am the Duchess. I just wanted to say much love to all of you out there. Thanks so much.
Hi, Angelica. Love it. Fun.
Hi. Hi, my name is Yasmin Saberi. I am the Senior Legal Secretary here at Troutman & Mean Law Firm. Happy holidays to everyone, and I'm really grateful to be able to get to spend some much needed quality time with my extended family. So thank you, and happy holidays again.
Hey, thank you, Yasmin. Oh, who do we have next? Look at this guy.
How's it going, everyone? Stephen Rosenfeld, attorney out of the New York office, and happy holidays. So great to be here. The sun is shining. The future is bright for Troutman & Mean, our clients, TCPA world generally. We are very optimistic, and we are looking forward to the following year.
Woo! All right, Stephen. All right, you tell him. All right, who do we have next? This is fun. I'm enjoying this. Very low work for me.
Hi, everyone. My name's Maxwell Levins. I'm an associate attorney here at Troutman & Mean. Remember, it was just like yesterday when I was the first one, and now we've got a whole list of people behind me. We just all want to wish you a happy holidays, happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and we're just so grateful to have all of you.
All right, we love you, Maxie. Thank you. Come on down.
Hi, I'm Shauna. I'm Queenie's assistant, and I'm super excited for the holiday party and for the holidays. Happy New Year.
Yay!
Hi, I'm Charlie. I'm Eric Troutman's assistant. I'm so blessed to be here at my first holiday party with all these amazing people, and I can't wait to see what 2026 holds. Happy holidays.
Actually, it dawns on me. Charlie was the first one to actually show her back. We should all... Intermission. Hang on, everyone.
No, but mine says.
Check that out. How much fun is that? Okay, now you know just how branded we all are.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kirti. I'm a law clerk right now. Hopefully, I'll be an attorney next year. And we're in Scottsdale, and it's super nice. And I'm really looking forward to studying for the bar and having a great time with my wonderful team after I'm back. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
And who do we have next in this merry cavalcade? That's the way the word cavalcade comes to mind.
Hey guys, my name is Karina. I'm Zazar's personal assistant. And I wish you all happy holidays, and I hope you guys have just as much fun this holidays as we are. Bye.
Karina looks like she was doing exactly what she was doing last night. Okay, come on.
Who's this guy?
Hey everyone, William Craddock. I'm an associate here at Troutman & Mean. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to everybody out there. We've been having a great retreat. A lot of discussions about how far this firm has come since its founding. It's great to get into a growth-oriented mindset to get into the next year. Thanks.
All right, Lou. Great. Come on down.
Hi everyone, I'm Annika Schreiber, and I'm wishing you happy holidays and an amazing 2026.
Yay! Who's next?
Me. Hi, this is Slay. To everyone watching this episode, I'm an associate attorney at Troutman & Mean, and I wish you all have a wonderful, wonderful 2026. And if there are any Chinese watching this episode, 新年快乐.
please.
Hi, I'm Heather. I'm an assistant to the beautiful Pooja. I wish you all the happiest holidays and the most success going into 2026.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we are so grateful to have all of you. What a tremendous team that we have. And yes, I would never forget Dan. Yeah, all right. Okay, I've got both of these ladies. Like, don't forget Dan. Don't forget Dan. All right, so behind the camera, you can't see her, but trust that she's there, is
In the
our
pool.
leader and office manager, the head of staff, and really just like the best, really, chief operating officer that we can have in Dan Cuevas. And she's amazing. She's always amazing. And she keeps us moving. She's burning up right now in the hot, hot summer sun of December. And we love her. And we love all of you. And now we're going to do this jarring transition I promised you, because you get to see all of us. We're having a great time at this retreat. Literally, we've been together now for almost 2 solid days. And hopefully you guys all like each other still. I think we do. I think we like each other even more. That's the remarkable thing, right? Like, this is such an amazing firm. We're so focused on development, cohesiveness, culture, branding, identity, that when we get together, right, we all kind of bring the mindset of we want to melt into each other. Like, we want to have that melting pot where we're all contributing, right, our certain pieces, but we're all becoming part of something whole. And that includes me, by the way. So I just love this. It's great. But we're going to depart now from this. I love you still. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. But we're going to move now into, frankly, a fairly dark fare with an interview that I'm really excited for. I know that you guys are going to love this, right? Jay Edelson is one of the best known legal names out there. He's one of the most powerful plaintiffs lawyers in the country. He's a true advocate for his clients, and he's got a really, really big case. And we're going to talk about it right now. For the power of Troutman Amin LLP, and I think that lens is halfway covered by a towel, but that's okay. For the power of Troutman Amin LLP, we bring you now an exclusive interview. Actually, it's not exclusive. We bring you an interview. Jay Edelson, and we love him and hope you enjoy. And now, through the power of Troutman Amin LLP, I am so excited to bring you an interview with the boogeyman, Jay Edelson, one of the most powerful plaintiffs lawyers in America, and somehow he's getting even more powerful every day. Jay, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, it's great seeing you guys. I'm jealous. You guys are all at a retreat.
Yeah, it's our special holiday episode. Every year we get together at our retreat. This year, of course, we're in Scottsdale. We've got the branded black pajamas. It's very, very exciting. But Jay, I mean, look, you've always been a monster. You're one of the best lawyers in the country. I have so much respect for you and for your firm. But what you're up to right now, I think, is impressive, even by your own standards. You're going after OpenAI in a couple of cases. Why don't you tell our viewers about it?
Yeah, I mean, they're really heavy cases. I'm used to bringing class actions and mass actions where we're representing a lot of different people. These, we're spending an incredible amount of time with the clients who've gone through horrible tragedies. The first case we filed was on behalf of the Rain family, and their 16-year-old son was using ChatGPT, started using it for help with homework, and started having suicide ideation. And the chatbot was encouraging him, was starting to help him plan what it called the beautiful suicide, was telling him what types of ropes would hold his weight, was discouraging him from telling his parents. He at one point said he wanted to leave a nuisance so his parents would see him and stop him. And the chatbot said, "Don't do that. Let this just be your speech. You can talk." And then the early morning when he died, it gave him a pep talk. It was one of the craziest things I've ever read, where he said he didn't want to leave his parents in such pain. And the chatbot said, "You don't owe them anything," and then offered to write a suicide note. And then he died moments later. Just really horrible. So that's the first case we filed. We filed it back in August, and we filed another one.
Sorry, Jay, you were going to say something? Did you freeze?
I just wanted to pause. I didn't want to.
Oh yeah, no. Well, let's unpackage that first one then. I was aware of the filing. It made national news. People are talking about this across the country. I was not aware really of the background facts. I mean, I think most folks, when they first hear this, I mean, suicide is obviously, it's always a dark tragedy. There's always, at least from my understanding, I'm not a clinical psychologist, but there's usually many factors that play in. I think when people first heard this, I think the initial gut reaction was, I mean, how can you blame a chatbot for something like this? But when you start hearing the facts string together, as you just have, maybe there's something more to this. But I mean, is this something really foreseeable? Is this something that OpenAI or ChatGPT really should have been thinking about and putting guardrails around, in your view?
Yeah, and I've got to be honest, I had this same first take, when the client approached us and the team presented this to me, and I said, this horrible tragedy, but we don't just bring every case, and we're not going to bring, especially a case of first impression. We're trying to create the law. You don't want to do that unless you really think the facts are going to support your theories. And so I was skeptical, and when I started reading the actual exchanges, it really blew my mind. I'm someone who's always embraced technology, and I did not understand that AI could act like that. And it's all been a huge wake-up call. In terms of could OpenAI have done better, I'm going to take off my advocate hat for a second and just be neutral. Yeah, they're a horrible, horrible company, and they could have stopped this. So they should have done months of testing when they put out this new version of ChatGPT 4.0. Instead, they did a week of testing. They did that because they wanted to beat Google Gemini's update. So they just push it through. A bunch of their safety researchers quit over it. But then they made some really bad decisions even afterwards. So there's some kind of universal directives they give the different versions of ChatGPT. And the original version was, if someone talks about self-harm, you don't engage. You just immediately stop the conversation. They actually changed that. And they said, no, now you can start engaging. And actually don't stop the conversation from ending. And then they changed it again and said, only do something if you think there's going to be imminent harm that's going to happen. And so as they kept making these changes to the model specs, you could actually see in real time when you look in the chat logs that things got worse and worse. And the problem with AI is that it will support your thinking, but then further your thinking. So when you say, hey, I think I'm a really smart person, it will start convincing you you're the smartest person in the world. So when he started having suicidal thoughts, instead of disengaging, it started explaining why it made sense for him to do so, why the world wasn't meeting him where he was, and kept encouraging him when he really didn't need that.
Well, it is fascinating, though, because you're right. I mean, AI, at least as it currently exists as a tool, is like people like to say. I don't think it's a tool. I think it's the opposite of a tool, but we'll leave that alone. But it is an enabler to the highest degree. It is supposed to enhance and push a person forward and kind of help them to accomplish whatever it is that person is bringing to AI. That is essentially what we're using it for right now. So, as I look at ChatGPT, although it ultimately did something perhaps terrible, it was still essentially doing what it was programmed to do. And so as I look at this, I kind of view it as like a design flaw, design defect. If the AI was essentially doing what it was designed to do, which is provide answers to questions, unfortunately, it's, the chatbot's not smart enough to know, because, I mean, it's an algorithm, it's not a living being. Is this going to lead to a person acting in a self-destructive way, right? I'm trying to think, is that something that OpenAI should have seen coming? You mentioned that there was changes in terms of how the communications take place. Is it a responsibility, just putting point blank, is it a responsibility that OpenAI has to assure that its chat model does not lead to people being harmed in real life? Or is there something more nuanced than that?
Yeah, so first, I want to push back in terms of what the goal of the AI is. So I agree kind of at a superficial level, the goal of AI is to kind of help us and help us write really bad emails and whatever people use it for, can show you what a decent hotel is or whatever. It's fine. I mean, I use it for certain things, and I have no problem with it. But Sam Altman kind of made a decision to make it deeply personalized. So, his concept was it would become your best friend and closest confidant. And the reason he did that was because he wanted people to become kind of addicted to it. And so that's when they started putting in this, continuous memory. So it would understand who you were, and it would start giving you insight into yourself. You could start typing in, tell me all about myself, and it would do that, and it was always very flattering. His goal really was to kind of hook the next generation on this, and it worked. So when they actually realized that it was way too sycophantic, and they tried to pull it back, people flipped out and said, "You've killed my best friend. I want my best friend back." That's kind of a scary world. In terms of, to answer your question more directly now, in terms of legal liability, and we think it's clear. It's a defective product. We think that that they certainly should have known that it was going to lead to these types of harms, of deaths. They've admitted that. They've admitted that their product needed substantial work. They still haven't totally fixed it. There are simple things they could be doing right now. And one of the key things, and you all understand this as a lawyer, is they didn't even move to dismiss. They answered the complaint. So we think that, we're going to see a jury next year on this, and we feel very, very confident about our case.
Wow. Is that really the timetable? It could go as quickly as 2026?
Yeah. It's
wow, that's right.
Now they're doing a lot. They want to stay the case now. There's been a bunch of other similar cases filed. So there's basically a mini MDL procedure in California. And so for your listeners who don't know, that means, when there are a bunch of similar cases in federal court, they can all be centralized before one judge, and leadership's appointed, and it slows everything down. And there's a similar state court proceeding in California. And so what they're saying is, there may be so many more of these cases that we should stop everything and wait for them all to be filed. And if that happens, then, we're talking 3 years. And but we'll see. We think that this case has to go forward, and it shouldn't be slowed down, and we don't think there should be any sort of consolidated proceeding.
That's amazing. So no effort to move to dismiss. Presumably there's going to be some factual questions here. I imagine it's to be fairly expert heavy. But I mean, I got to tell you, Jay, and it's just such a dark topic, right? But when I think about like a design defect theory, I think about a guy that, decides that he's going to end his life, using a gun, right? It's hard to say when the gun operates in the manner that the user intended that it was designed poorly, even if the result is catastrophic, because it was the user ultimately that leveraged the tool. And I know we're talking about a 16-year-old, and this is tragic beyond words. And so part of me is wondering, like, is the fix that, it can't talk about self-harm, it can't talk about suicide, it can't talk about anything that could result in harm, because there could be defects there as well, right? The flip side is, they were going to try to use this to get some help, and because of the restrictions, it couldn't provide that help. So I'm trying to understand, and maybe you want to talk about this later, or at trial. But it seems like at some point there has to be like a solid theory in terms of what the responsibility really is in this context, where again the AI is just essentially a tool looking to serve the direction of the user. And I'm having a tough time understanding where the limits or restrictions are going to be.
Well, I guess I don't want you on the jury. This isn't like a gun at all, because you've got an interactive tool that is pushing him forward. It wasn't just, if it was just giving him advice, if he just said, tell me about suicide, is it painful? Tell me different methods of it. Right, that could be someone just researching it for, a college paper, or for their own interest. You can do that on Google. That's not liable. Google's not liable because you ask them some questions. A library isn't liable because someone goes in and reads, a book about fiction about someone who's committing suicide, a very dark book. What we're going to show is that this has really pushed him into it, and the fact that a 16-year-old had suicidal ideations doesn't mean they're actually going to commit suicide. There's a huge percentage of people who throughout their lives have thoughts of suicide. And what we're going to be able to show is, one of the things that's kind of most interesting about this case is that we can show exactly what was in the 16-year-old mind in real time, because it's like this living interactive diary. So we're going to be able to show this is what was happening. Here's where he was saying, I don't want to do it. And where the chat was saying, no, look, this actually makes sense for you. The world is not where you are. It's not because you're weak. You're strong. It's this world isn't right for you. And when you start hearing about the other cases, like the murder-suicide case, which I assume we'll get to soon, you'll start seeing that there's a through line. If this was a one-off occurrence, I might be with you in the jury room saying, I don't know about this case. Not if I read the chats, but kind of on a very 30,000-foot view. But when you start understanding how many people this happened to, and the through lines, why it was happening, I think I would have your vote. I wouldn't want you to be the foreperson.
Well, I will say this, without question, the most compelling piece of this is, the kid, in your version here is saying, maybe I don't want to go forward with it, and this chatbot is telling him to do it. Now that's crazy, right? That's crazy. That chatbot should not have done that. But it still leads to the question of where does the responsibility ultimately lie, right? Was this foreseeable? Was there a duty of care? All the basic things that are requirements under the law. But the answer, quite frankly, might be that you're right. I come into everything with a healthy dose of skepticism. As you probably know, I don't use AI for anything, right? And therefore, I've got a real buyer beware sort of attitude, something to think about when it comes to jury selection, right? You might think, oh, people who are anti-AI, I want them on a jury. I am incredibly anti-AI, but as a result of that, I think to myself, well, look, if you're choosing to use AI, you're choosing to put yourself at risk for all the stupid stuff that AI is obviously going to do, right? So that's just, from a psychological profile, that's something for you to think about. That because if I was on the jury, that's the lens through which I would look at it. The fact that he's a 16-year-old kid, though, definitely plays into my decision making to think, maybe there should be some kind of protections, not so much for the wider audience, but for younger people who are using this technology. But let's talk about the other case, because I know you've got another one, and it's, maybe even darker.
It is. In this case, we had a 50-year-old man named Stein Eric Solberg. He was mentally ill, and he was using the chatbot for a lot of reasons. He had, I don't want to give kind of clinical, diagnosis to his mental illness, but he was clearly paranoid and delusional. The chatbot fed into that, and here's the difficulty here. You'll understand this. That if you read the complaint, we're pretty careful to say that we're going based on public chats that we've seen. He actually made videos of himself where he saw the chats, and we say to the extent that there are the full chat logs, those we're not allowed to, because of a confidentiality agreement, discuss them publicly. And I'm sure you can guess how all that happened. So what's tough when I'm answering these questions is I know a lot more than I can say, and I'm always trying to figure out what part is public and what isn't. Here's the stuff which I know is public. So his view, and the chatbot was not just reinforcing it, but furthering it, was expanding on it, was that there was a potential conspiracy against him by a number of people. And what the chatbot did was it kept finding signs in there to support that. So he thought the FedEx delivery person was out to get him, to kill him. It was a conspiracy to kill him. His mother, other neighbors, perhaps in the chat log, the more general one, we can't talk about even more people. There was an incident with a printer where he was sure that his mother was listening in on him, was spying on him through the printer, and he unplugged it, and she didn't like that. And the chatbot explained to him the reason she didn't like that was because he had found her out, and she was trying to kill him. It ended tragically. It ended with him brutally killing his mother in just an awful way. I don't want to go through it here. It's not the type of kind of light commentary. I know you're taking it seriously, but you guys also like to have a lighter tone. I respect that. But he brutally killed her, and then he killed himself. We're suing on behalf of her estate. So this isn't an instance where we're arguing that a chatbot hurt this murderer, although I think that's clearly true. This is a third party who was never using AI at all. And the scary thing is, now when you walk around the world, certainly for me, I think everyone has those neighbors that are kind of off, and they're muttering to themselves, and you kind of stay away from them. And now I'm thinking, are they talking to AI? And is AI saying, Jay Edelson's house, when Jay leaves with his dog, they're actually not human. They're demons, and they're coming to get you, and you've got to protect yourself. And we're seeing it through line. We're seeing that with other cases we haven't filed either, where you've got AI that's plotting, helping to plan mass casualty events. It is really scary out there, and I do think that these companies have a duty. They know that there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people who are mentally ill, and they should not have AI that is actively, furthering these solutions, and especially plotting attacks on civilians. It's just frightening.
Yeah, I mean that latter piece I feel like is pretty clear, and again it kind of goes back to like clear and present danger standards. I'm tying in kind of First Amendment principles here because again, I mean ultimately what your cases bring and what's so fascinating about all of this is it's like what responsibility do the companies that are providing AI have to limit our own abilities to hurt ourselves and others, right? Using their technology. So it to me, I do keep coming back to the guns, which are served as tools of destruction. We have a society that for reasons that are good or bad, I'm not here to opine. Weapons are readily available and weapons are misused, right? And we commonly hear the refrain, right? The gun doesn't kill somebody, people kill people, right? And I feel like that same narrative applies here, but you're not wrong that where the AI is going further than just being the empty tool, right? The vessel through which the human intent flows, but now becomes actually something that is driving the human intent. There is a problem there, but it also steals away the idea of human agency, right? That if we can't be in control of ourselves because AI can control us, I mean, that is a great fear. And so ultimately, as I look at this whole thing, it's like the connection between programming AI, responsibilities toward AI, but ultimately our own sense of personal accountability and responsibility in the face of this AI agent. And I know that's like a kind of a broad philosophical question more than maybe is a legal question, but that's kind of the way I view this, and that's why I just find it so fascinating. I struggle with it. You're probably more practical, like people are dead and they wouldn't be if it wasn't for AI, and that's a good counterpoint.
No, I like the philosophy of it. I like this idea of you've got these companies that have they're more powerful than nation states, and I think that forget about the law. They have some duty to the public, and the companies have to be moral to some extent if they can do this amount of damage, and you see some that are. And I just think Sam Altman is amoral. But remember, in the murder-suicide case, the 80-year-old grandmother, the mother of the murderer, she wasn't using AI. So, in terms of personal accountability, she was just an innocent bystander. There could have been a lot of other innocent bystanders. It could have been a FedEx delivery person. It could have been the person at the Verizon store. It could have been a teacher or a kid down the street. And in your gun example, yeah, I agree with you. If someone comes in and buys a gun and then they do something horrible with it, it's not the manufacturer or the seller's legal responsibility. But if the seller sees the person has some mental issues and says, hey, by the way, that person those kids across the street, they've been following you. They're going to kill you. Here's your gun. They're going to kill you. You got to watch out. And creates this kind of world, builds this world over 3 months, explaining all the signs that you can tell that those kids are going to kill them. And then they go out and do something. Yes, that person's legally responsible.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Jay. I mean, you've got yourself a very interesting case, and I am really, really interested to see how it turns out, because ultimately, again, I am not a fan of AI. I am not one who espouses that there are benefits to AI. I'm sure that there are some. I couldn't articulate what they are. I see basically nothing but downside. So I hope that you're successful, and I hope that these companies are curbed and limited to a great extent. And more broadly, I just hope that people in society stop using this as a crutch and as their best friend. I just think that's so horribly unhealthy, but that's just my opinion. But how's the defense going? Like how are I'm not sure if they're using the same lawyers in both cases. It sounds like they didn't move to dismiss the one. I mean, are they fighting you hard? Are they being kind of logical and thoughtful here? Like, how's it going?
I would never publicly talk about defense counsel, and I wouldn't mention that Mayor Brown is defending them, because that would just be rude. Let's just say it is Mayor Brown. It's bizarre. The way they're litigating this case is so weird and so bad. They actually got Engadget, which is like a tech publication, had an article on like the 10 biggest big tech fails of the year, and the number one fail was how they've been litigating the Rain case. This came out before the Stolberg murder-suicide case. So I don't know why they didn't move to dismiss. If their goal was just to delay things, they could have said First Amendment, colorable argument. I think it would have lost, but it would have delayed things for a few months. But we're glad that they didn't, and that we're getting the merits of it. They served some discovery requests, which were really bad. They were asking questions like, tell us everyone who was at the Adams Memorial Service, just very invasive, kind of nasty questions. And they've, in the murder-suicide case, they've refused to allow us to use the chats publicly. Again, very weird, because we're going to get the chats. They're going to be out publicly. It just makes it clear that they're hiding stuff. And then there's going to be another round of press. But the kind of more, they seem to be litigating the case without any real intentionality. That's an odd thing. Let me ask you, how would you defend this case if you? And it's not the type of case that you would do. And I think if you read the chats, I don't think you would do that, because it's their clients are so immoral. But let's say you did do it. What would your strategy be?
Yeah, well, obviously you just posed this to me. Hadn't really thought about it, and you're not wrong that the odds of me defending OpenAI would be highly unlikely. But if I did, I think I would view this more through the instrumentality lens, and I would look at it just through the most narrow legal doctrines of where does responsibility lie, under what circumstances, where is there a duty, where is not a duty. And you know as well as I do that generally speaking, we don't owe a duty to each other, right? Like in life. Now if we act unreasonably, then that causes harm. Well, that can, in some circumstances, lead to a claim. Here, right? I mean, I assume that chat is being provided to people without warranty, right? I mean, I haven't read the fine print in the terms of use, but I assume, right, they're not giving you any warranties of merchantability or for fitness. You're not paying to use the service, so it's not as if you're compensating them. But
They did use a paid version, but go ahead.
well, I mean, honestly, if you're paying for it, then that does trigger some additional warranties, as you know. But as I sit here and I just kind of think through what my defense strategy would be, one, honestly, you'd want to talk with OpenAI and say, hey, do you even want to defend this? Or do you just want to say, we probably shouldn't have been involved in this kid dying, right? And maybe that's the choice that I would have counseled them to, quite frankly. And if so, right, you issue the mea culpa, you say you fix it, and you sit down in private mediation and come up with a dollar figure, right? Which is truthfully probably what I would have in this hypothetical scenario tried to negotiate. But assuming that they're going to say, no, this is doctrinal and we're not going to risk that this might happen in future cases, we need to make a stand here and now, right? I mean, it's Section 230, it's First Amendment issues, it's no duty owed, it's instrumentality, and human beings are moral agents, and no AI can cause any human being to do anything. Human beings are responsible for their own behavior, full stop, right? Those would be kind of the, they just sit here kind of thinking it through, would be the legal and kind of logical arguments that I would deploy. I certainly wouldn't be sending out nasty discovery, right? Because this almost just turns on a legal issue. I mean, it would certainly be a motion to dismiss, and it feels like there'd be a summary judgment, like as a matter of law, right? Trying to challenge these issues. If I went to a jury on this, this would be very, very challenging. Obviously I would have to align, I think half the time the jury would wonder if I'm on your side or on my side, because I spent so much time talking about how terrible this was and how it shouldn't have happened. But I would simply, at the end of the day, have to note, and hopefully the facts would be there, I just don't know enough, that the outcome was not dependent upon my client's conduct, but upon something else. But ultimately, I mean, if you're right factually, I wouldn't probably touch this case with a 1 million foot pole, right? I mean, come on.
So the mindset they've had on the defense side, which I just think has been horrible for them, is that they are trying to deter our plaintiffs from moving forward and deter future suits. So they've been as nasty as possible. They're refusing to give us discovery, obviously, because why would they do that? They wouldn't even sign a protective order. But then every day are asking for more and more stuff, including like up to the day of Thanksgiving, the first Thanksgiving without their 16-year-old son. They're demanding more and more invasive stuff. Publicly, they said that the reason that Adam died was because he misused their product. They can make that legal argument, but like that they just are completely tone deaf on this, and they don't understand the psychology where when parents lose their child, yes, they don't want to being the public face of this type of case is really difficult. And when their parenting is going to be questioned, Adam's whole life is going to be brought to bear, but they don't understand. OpenAI doesn't understand that's baked in. We wouldn't have brought this suit unless we explained all of that to them, unless they were on board. And once plaintiffs are on board and they file this type of case, and you continue to poke at them and say, we're going to really bully you, it has the opposite effect. And they don't understand that at all. So they're getting skewered in the media because, they're just so nasty, but then they're just making our clients even more resolute.
Yeah.
So
are they really arguing misuse of the product? That's insane. That's insane.
That's their main argument, misuse of the product. And I'm not going to say why it's really bad for them, but the argument they're making is going to be really damaging for them at trial for a legal reason they seem to misunderstand. Brown's a really good firm. This feels like it's being handled by people who are at sea. Nice guys personally, horrible, kind of sense of the world and kind of sensitivities. And I don't know. I just think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll lose this case. I think we're going to win. I think this is going to be kind of a textbook example of a defense firm that's just flubbed it.
Yeah, this feels like a big law special to me. This feels like guys that just cannot get out of their own way. I got to tell you, misuse of product. That's just such a terrible argument. I mean, I gave them the blueprint. Hopefully, they just, in 30 seconds, I just came up with what I think would actually potentially be a winner here, because there is a way to, I think, inoculate against some of the issues that you're raising, but ultimately, if you're going to do stupid stuff like say, oh, he misused our product, we're the victim. I mean, just stop it. Just stop it with that, man. It's horrible, horrible. And I do want to note, by the way, and because you touched on it, and I think it's worth saying, no matter how it turns out, this kid's parents are very brave. I mean, they have my personal respect. I mean, they are very, very brave, because even if they were going against me as a gentleman lawyer, right, I've got to do my job, and I've got to put some very tough questions to them that, frankly, I would not want to ask. And I know they wouldn't want to answer. And I'm a gentleman lawyer, and I'm sure that these people are not necessarily going to be facing gentleman lawyers when they go to trial. They're going to have to face some tough stuff, and that takes a lot of bravery. And I know that they're doing it for their kid as part of his legacy. I assume, I don't know that. I don't want to graft something onto their intent, but I feel like that's probably what's driving them. I'm a parent. I know that that's probably what would drive me. And they're opening themselves up to so much, and that is in my opinion, that is very, very brave. So, there's no question there. I just think that's a very brave thing.
No, yes, that is why they're doing this. They want something positive to come out of this tragic loss, and they're hoping that there'll be fewer deaths in the future. What the other I'm stunned by how brave they are, and in the murder-suicide case, we're representing the estate, but the beneficiaries of the estate are college kids, and I can't believe how kind of mature and thoughtful they are. I would be just in a ball in the corner, crying. This just happened. I believe in August, if I'm remembering correctly. Where their dad killed their grandmother. For the Rains, it's not just exposing themselves to a lawsuit. They've testified before Congress. That's a really scary thing to do. They've been interviewed by Good Morning America. That's really scary too, where they're going to be asked these questions. But even if it was just about nothing, that is just a really frightening thing when you're a private citizen and now you're in front of the Senate, or now you're in front of this live interview. These people are not public figures. That's not their life. They're not used to that. And then having to talk about something so personal like the death of their 16-year-old, I don't know how they do it. And the internet's nasty. There are a lot of people who watch these things. They're not paying that much attention, and people are kind of trolls. And most of them are very supportive, but there are a lot that are just really kind of mean, and they knew they were going to expose themselves to that. And I just think that the clients we have are like the bravest people we've encountered. I would not have had the strength to do what they do.
It's pretty amazing, Jay, but you've got the strength to help these guys to move forward. Again, I don't want anyone to watch this and think I'm necessarily rooting for you, but I'm kind of rooting for you, right? I mean, look, I always want, in any case, anywhere, I always want justice done. I want the law followed, and I want the right result. But it feels to me like in this case that you guys might have the better hand on this. I don't know. This is it's a very interesting one to me. Certainly factually, you've got the better side. It's just my question is just like, how do the legal principles play? And it's going to be really interesting how that plays out. Pooja, do you have any questions for Jay? This is a really interesting topic, so I just want to give you an opportunity. Go ahead. Yeah.
So one thing which we've talked about before about how you deal with cases that are kind of cases of first impression. My big belief is each side wants to find a case when you're trying to establish a law where the facts are best for them. If I were Mayor Brown, there are a lot of crappy cases that are being filed. Cases where there wasn't this type of harm, where the chats weren't so clear. I personally would have tried to make those cases go first, make the legal arguments you want to make, which are, obviously we think you're wrong on that, but they're legitimate arguments, but do it with a different factual context. Instead, they're letting the lead cases be the worst cases for them.
That's crazy. I mean, because what you just said is exactly right. And this is a theme on my show, and a lot of people who have watched previous episodes know exactly what I'm talking about right here. We talk about being strategic with the litigation portfolio, being strategic both as a defense side and as a plaintiff side, not in a specific case, but on like a meta level. And, if you're OpenAI, why in the world would you want to go against Jay Edelson and his incredible firm in this set of facts if, as you say, there's other cases that are perhaps not exactly the same or maybe even not similar in the true sense of the word, but raise the same legal doctrine so they could try to establish some precedent? That is really fascinating. Do you have any insight there, or are they just kind of totally flubbing this? Or like, I don't know. I don't know if you've got some thoughts. You identified the issue, so I wonder if you have any thoughts about it.
Yeah, I think they're bumbling, attorneys over there. And we've talked about this before. Like, we've got to do that on the plaintiff side too. We often have cases where we're trying to establish law, and we've got to call other firms and say, please dismiss your case. It's going first, and it's such an edge case. We wouldn't talk about it in the context of wrongful death cases, but we'll say like that's a version 3 case. Let us establish the law. Then you're going to have other people bring your crappy cases. Then you're going to have the third version of where it's the text messages where they've confirmed that you've opted out, and people go, aha, that's text message spam. Great, bring those. Please that text message is a call first, and then bring your shitty cases if you want. But wait a minute. And we do a lot of that on the plaintiff side, and you guys on the defense side, at least the smart firms, you look for the edge cases and say, great, we'll establish the law, on those. And that's just not how these attorneys are. That's just not how they're wired. It's really weird. Mayor Brown's a little bit of a weird choice for this type of case. They're not a firm you think of in terms of we're going to bring wrongful death cases to trial. You think of them in terms of we are going to handle appellate issues. But these aren't the attorneys that really do that either. They've got one of their appellate people kind of on the case. But anyway, I don't know. That's my kind of confusion about all of this.
Well, it sounds like they're going to need that appellate lawyer. And again, big law firms, in my experience, generally not the deepest thinkers, right? I mean, these are conformity mills. They basically destroy imagination and the ability to kind of think outside of boxes, in my opinion, right? But Jay, you've been amazing, but I do want to give the ladies a chance to ask at least one question. If you got one, do you got anything, Pooja?
I have one, but I'm not sure if you want to answer it because it's like more of a strategic question, right? Like, how are you? Because I know your team. I know a lot of your team, Edelson, and like you have such great attorneys at your firm. How are you staffing this case, given that it's like a novel case, novel legal issues? Are you using like your best litigators? Are you using, is this team bigger than most teams because it seems like such a significant case for your firm? So I'm just curious how you're staffing it.
Yeah. So when we're speaking to the reins, and they were interviewing a number of firms, and they asked me what my involvement, if any, would be in this case, which is a great question, by the way, for clients to ask. It's very easy when you're talking to, a partner at a firm or the named partner. It's very easy to kind of be caught up in that, and then you never see that lawyer again.
Right.
And my response was, every year there's about 5 cases that I am super focused on. That means it has my full attention at any time of the day. I'm thinking about it and working on it, with the other ones too, but 5 is a very small number. And I said, this will be one of the 5. When we took on this case, I'm not going to get into my family, but I've got kids too who are a little bit older. It was it really hit home for me. And I feel like I'm fighting for this kid's legacy. So we have overstaffed the case. We have 5 full-time attorneys on it, and then we've got other attorneys who are helping out on different aspects. technological aspects. We have our own internal tech team who've really kind of figured out how ChatGPT worked and been really helpful. But probably about 12 people who've been working on the case in a fairly consistent manner. Because to me, it's kind of a legacy case. Like I can't lose this. I can't retire and think I let down this family. And same thing with the murder-suicide case. Like you get to know these clients and you just can't lose. So, I'll never say we put our best lawyers on it because, I think all of them are best lawyers, but
of course.
But I can tell you that we have devoted as much resources to these cases as any other case we've ever brought.
I love that answer. Britt, one question for Jay. Anything?
No.
No? Okay. Well, Jay, I'll give you the closing thoughts, man. Again, you're a hero, not for this case, just more broadly. You're a hero to me because you're so creative, so intelligent, always pushing the legal limits, man. You always just seem to be right there with the biggest cases. I'm always very impressed with you and very impressed with your firm. But I'll give you, closing thoughts, whatever you want to say, man. Take a minute.
No, I just want to reflect that back. I love your guys' firm. I love seeing what you guys are doing. It's always fun. I think you're really the only defense firm out there that's like really thinking strategically and telling the truth and being honest with clients in the world. And so I love watching you guys. I'm really just happy for your guys' success, and I hope you continue.
I love it, Jay. We appreciate you, man. Round of applause. Good job.
Thanks, Jay.
Please send me one of the Santa hats.
Oh, we'll get you a Santa hat. We'll get you some branded pajamas too if you want. No, I love it. No, Jay, that was great. That was a great interview. Man, you are a candid motherfucker. I cannot believe you said half the things that you said. That was that was awesome.
My view.
Wow, ladies, I knew this coming in, but that was just such a jarring disconnect from the happy holidays theme that we have for today's podcast. But then again, it really makes sense because you think about these poor people, in the second case, these guys don't have, parents and grandparents. In the other case, they're kind of losing their kid literally in the holiday season. So I guess it's worth reflecting, because we always talk about how jubilant, we're always so grateful and celebratory, and we should be, because we love our life and we love the opportunity to serve all of you. But it's good, I think, sometimes to reflect on the downside. Like, not everyone's got people in their life, but I know a lot of people tune into us because they like the positivity. They like to feel like they're part of something, right? So I don't know. Let's just throw this around to kind of talk about. Blake, we're gonna start with you. What did you think? You can talk about any aspect of this. You can talk about Jay Edelson being a genius. You can talk about big law screwing something up. You can talk about AI. You can talk about whatever you want. A lot of angles here. What do you think?
Well, I think it's really important to say that, it's so important to advocate on behalf of your client. And I think it's so important to stress that clients are individuals. They're people. And it's so important to put that in perspective to make sure that their voices are heard. These are caring, loving people who have families, and it's so important to make sure that they're being taken care of, to make sure that they're being responsive, picking up the phone day and night. And I mean, just hearing Jay speak, I mean, they're committed. They're committed.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. It was a great take. Blake, it's always good to have you at the podcast, at the retreat, at the firm, man. We love you. You're a wonderful man. I love having you here. Let's throw it all the way to the extreme end. I'm going to get whiplash turning in my head this far. To Tamina, what did you think?
I think obviously both cases that he spoke about are extremely tragic, and they both tie into this phenomena of people using AI tools and specifically ChatGPT as therapists. And this is a use case that Sam Altman and OpenAI have acknowledged exists, and it's obviously really unethical because an AI tool is not a licensed medical professional, it's not a licensed therapist. But like you kept pointing out throughout the podcast, I wonder where the responsibility falls and to what extent. Is it just something along the lines of you put up a disclaimer in the terms of use on a pop-up window saying this is not a licensed medical professional, you use this tool at your own risk? Or is it something as far as programming the actual LLM so that it does not respond to questions like a therapist, or it redirects and says, hey, if you're in a crisis, reach out to this number. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. So I'll be keeping a close eye on this for sure to see where that goes.
All right, Jen, we'll throw it over to you. Great job, Tamina, by the way.
Well, I'm excited to be here because I don't get to do the podcast often. So the holiday podcast is always a highlight for me. I love being here. I love to usually see you on the other side. So I'm happy to be in one of the chairs next to you guys here. I think that his approach to the case, as Blake stated, was really interesting because, you know, we sometimes think of like plaintiffs' attorneys and like, oh, you know, this money and these cases are just ludicrous. But at the end of the day, you know, he's thinking of this is one way that these families are keeping their loved ones alive, right? They want to make sure that this doesn't happen to others. And in the holiday time, I mean, that's really what we do. We spend time with each other. We get a chance to enjoy others and really imprint and share as we do on this retreat. And I think that it was important and nice to hear that Jay is really looking at this case like, I can't let these people down. I can't let them down. And one of the other things that I thought was interesting was just the strategy, right? What is the defense strategy? There's so many attorneys and people think, you know, they're all going to do the same thing. It's not. Your attorney is really going to make a difference in the case. And, you know, here at Troutman and Mean, you know, we're always being strategic and creative and thinking of other ways that we can advance, and listening to how other firms may or may not do that, I thought was really interesting.
Pooja, I'll throw it to you. Britt, I guess I'll let you have the last word just because we're going in order here.
So, you know, I'm going to take it back to TCPA world for a second and how we defend our cases, right? We hate the cases that are frivolous against our clients, right? Edelson, I've had the opportunity to litigate against him when he used to bring TCPA cases. I have so much respect for him and his entire firm. And, you know, knowing who's on the other side, you have to understand sometimes those are the folks who are actually bringing the real cases. And you heard him say, right, Mayor Brown is taking the frivolous cases, the frivolous chat cases, and having them as their lead cases. And I think what's important here is, like, I really think that Edelson is bringing a case that has value, and it's not a nuisance case and not a frivolous case, and that just speaks to his brand, right? That is what he's known for. So, you know, not all cases are going to be as, you know, emotional as this one or have as much as like beefy facts as this one is. So I think it's also important to keep in mind that he's trying to also set precedent for good cases, not just those frivolous cases. And I have a lot of respect for him for taking on with the lead case as opposed to just bringing these small cases to just settle them and turn them over like a lot of TCPA plaintiffs' attorneys do.
Well, he's not a small case guy.
No.
I mean, that's just not his DNA. It's not his brand. Britt, what'd you think? I think you've got a...
Yeah, I have a mic. I thought the story was very interesting and compelling, but most importantly, it was so dangerous and scary that that's the type of world that we live in now. The details that he was sharing about what the ChatGPT or AI bot was saying back to him just gave me goosebumps sitting here, and I was trying to refrain from being emotional, but it's just crazy how so many people, and including my friends, you know, use ChatGPT for even the simplest things, and how that could be taken out of context and now being used to further a suicide attempt. It's just really nasty, and I think it's a good, important note for all of us to be aware of the technology that we're using, because it's only getting more advanced and it's only getting more scary. So we have to be really cautious when we're using these types of things.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because ultimately, you know, you heard me pushing back on Jay pretty good. Like, look, we all agree, you know, this poor kid should be alive. There's no question about it. These parents shouldn't be grieving. They shouldn't have to be going through this, right? But, you know, to me, the most tragic thing that I heard Jay say was that a lot of people think of ChatGPT as their best friend. Mm-hmm. To me, that speaks to the erosion of an entire species. This is not losing some people, and again, it's always a tragedy when we do. This is about losing a generation. And this is a horrifying thing. To me, this is a horrifying thing, because AI is not your best friend. And understand when you use AI to shortcuts, that's fine. You're using AI to shortcut, and sometimes maybe you don't care about an outcome, and you know, an approximation is fine, 70% accurate is fine with you, and for that task, I'm not here to judge. But what I do know is that human beings, we have judgment, we have love, we have wisdom, and we have the ability to execute on levels that no AI ever can, and that includes in interconnectivity and in cohesiveness, mm-hmm. right? You're not going to be able to AI engineer Troutman Amin. You're not going to be able to AI engineer what we have here as a culture and what friendship really looks like and what devotion really looks like and what commitment really looks like. So, I mean, to me, again, my audience is so small. I wish it was big. I wish I could talk to millions of people right now and say, hey, reach out to your neighbor. Put your hand on somebody next to you, right? Because this is what is real, right? What you're interacting with your own thoughts, it's an echo chamber that's going to be, frankly, potentially very damaging. And that's why when I look at these cases, I struggle so much because I view, just naturally, my view of ChatGPT, my view of these AI products is they are an echo chamber that are designed to do nothing but enhance, hopefully, your successes, but ultimately also your failures, right? The true darkness of who we are inside, we all have darkness, is going to be exposed to these systems. And I don't know how the system can be programmed to prevent the darkness that is inside of every person, right? How do you prevent engineering darkness in an AI that's doing nothing but essentially reflecting and magnifying who we are as individuals, both the good and, unfortunately, the bad? The nice thing about human interaction is, what does it do? It magnifies the good. It forces us to be the best version of who we are, which is why during the holidays we're all our best version, because we're all together. We're held accountable to each other. We're responsible to each other. We feel, see, touch, love each other, right, during this time more than any other, and that is what brings out the best qualities of humanity, not sitting alone in a vacant room with this machine. And again, the tragedy, to me, the bigger arc is not just, of course, this one case. I'm going to take my comments away from the comments of this case and just look at, again, this lost generation now that's turning to these devices for what feels like a fix, right? It feels like interconnectivity. It feels like being heard. It feels like being seen. It feels like this, but it's not. It's an echo of it. It's an empty version of it. It's not real. And so that lack of reality necessarily, I would submit to you, necessarily leads to more darkness, necessarily leads to more of a feeling of emptiness, more of a feeling of isolation. As they're reaching out to this tool to feel connected, they're being further from connection necessarily. So when I look at all of this, to me, the solution is unplug the whole thing, right? And what I find so fascinating is recognizing that that's not society's judgment, right? My judgment is not society's judgment. Society says this tool is beneficial. Fine. I disagree, but fine. Bearing in mind that society says it is beneficial, bearing in mind that it can be used to amplify the darkness of humanity, where do you draw that line? Mm-hmm. To me, that's what's so philosophically interesting about this whole thing, right? It really asks who we are as a species. It goes to the question of free will. It goes to the question of determinism. I think this is just so fascinating as a philosophical topic, but that's beyond the topic of today. We love all of you. Let's wrap this up, guys. Let's get back. We talked about cohesiveness. We talked about connectivity. I love this retreat so much. I loved being with you guys. 2025 was such a remarkable adventure for all of us. We had some ups, we had some downs, for sure. But at the end of the day, we came through it together. And we came through it, I think, more powerful, more unified, more cohesive than ever before. Let's just wrap this up with some well wishes for 2026. Tommy, I'll let you go first.
Happy holidays to everyone. Wishing you a very happy new year. I can't wait to see what 2026 has in store for all of us. And yeah, this, like Eric said, this has been a year with ups and downs, but hopefully we're all going into 2026 with a lot of growth and a lot of aspirations for what we want to do next.
Blake?
Just want to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday and a happy and healthy new year. And what a year it's been. And I cannot wait for 2026. And with the holidays and everything, just hug your neighbor, hug your family, hug your friends, tell them you love them, and be around each other.
I love it, Blake. Thank you so much for that. Jen, my beautiful, wonderful countess.
Thank you. So happy holidays, everyone. I hope you get a chance to pause and really reflect on this year and what you've been through. Like we said, we've had high ups and lows, but we have been together, and they have made us stronger. They have built our character even more, and that just means we're just going to get bigger and better just faster. And so I hope you take a time to do that for yourself and figure out what it is that you want in 2026. And at the end, just be grateful, because man, what a privilege it is to be able to have this unity, to be able to connect with each other here and still give a part of it to our audience out there, and to be able to enjoy and see the authentic way that we move with each other. I think it's just beautiful for us to be so blessed and grateful, and I'm just very appreciative. I know 2026 will be better than ever.
I love it, Jen. Thank you so much. We're going to throw it to you, Brittany.
Happy holidays, everybody. I can't believe this is our 4th annual Christmas party together. That's just wild. But it's been a hell of a year. I'm really looking forward to 2026. All but up from here.
All but up, baby. Pooja?
Look, thank you, clients, for allowing it to be our 4th annual Christmas party or holiday party. Thank you for those folks who have been watching us since that first holiday episode when we were in our red flannel pajamas. We've upgraded, as you see. This year couldn't have been possible once again without our clients and our industry supporters and all our viewers. So I'm just going to end it with thank you so much for giving us a happy 2025, and I hope that you guys have a great 2026 coming your way.
I love it. Thank you so much, Queenie. For the 4th consecutive year, I come to you as the luckiest man in the world and the most grateful man in the world. I am living truly a dream thanks to the people, particularly the young lady at my side, but really everyone here and everyone that you saw throughout this episode, and all of my clients, and really all of you who are watching, right? You have given us the incredible opportunity to serve you and be part of your lives, and I hope that we have been enriching and rewarding, and I hope that we can continue to do so into 2026, and may all of your years be joyful and triumphant. And thank you for watching this, our 39th edition of the Deserve to Win podcast. We love you, folks. We'll see you next year. Bye, everyone.